can keep up with everything at tarpley.net, and even more so in these hectic times, my Twitter feed, Webster G. Tarpley at Twitter. These come out, well, if not on the hour, they come out pretty close, at least on the days when a lot is happening. So we got this ideological crisis, right? People get bewildered. Who's the enemy? We've had a decade of Islamophobia propaganda, and now they're showing you these guys in eastern Libya yelling Allah Akbar, and they're supposed to be the good guys. What's going on? And of course, the right wing freaks out in the obvious ways. Stalin could do that because he had totalitarian control, right? The Pravda would, with a straight face say, down with Hitler one day and then long live the Nazi Germany the next day under the auspices of the Hitler-Stalin Pact. But you can't really do that in the Western world, at least so far. So there's that going on, right? And that means that the official ideologies are a little bit in crisis. Great chance for people to intervene if you have a program, and I do. And please look at the top of Tarpley.net. You'll find a 5-point program, how to deal with the depression. Remember, the overall guidance is turn the imperialist destabilization into a destabilization of imperialism. And how do you do that? With economic program, with the Wall Street sales tax, with the seizure of the Federal Reserve, with a multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure program to create 30 million new productive jobs here in the United States. We have the answers. We have the tools that they need to win that mass strike in Wisconsin and in the other frontline states now in the wake of the Ash Wednesday ambush out there in Madison, Wisconsin. But just a couple of other points on the general situation. Other color revolutions are being prepared. One of the most dangerous, Belarus. Take a look at that Belarus on the map. Poland in the west and Russia in the east. Suppose you have an attempted coup, really the continuation of an attempted coup against President Lukashenko of Belarus. They already tried this about 10 days before Christmas last year. And in some ways, the opening gun of the current destabilization wave after the WikiLeaks document dumps was Belarus. And they tried a color revolution in Belarus, and Lukashenko cracked down, despite the fact there were 7 candidates running against him, and they had access to TV, and they only got 20% of the vote, so no confidence in them. And then he basically shut them down. So that's really the beginning. Italy remains under heavy attack, Berlusconi. And again, it's not because of the things that people may think. It's because of the Berlusconi-Putin relation and the South Stream pipeline. China, right? There are attempts to export this stuff all the way to China. There are attempts to foment the same thing in Iran. I mentioned Indonesia. That is the latest from WikiLeaks. They're attacking Indonesia. Macedonia, we have reports that the government of Macedonia has taken the Belarus path. In other words, they have preemptively shut down some funding conduits for funding a color revolution in their country. So this is now worldwide, right? This reaches everybody. Nobody is immune to this. Fidel Castro, I'm sure, was watching out. Chavez of Venezuela. This is now a worldwide orgy, a mad, insane rampage of destabilizations, coups, civil war. The goal is chaos in the short run, to try to prevent some alternate constellation in the world from emerging around the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, because that's the obvious counterpole to what's happened. Let's now look at Libya. As of yesterday being the 10th of March, one of the veteran Italian radio correspondents, Cremonesi, reported that Ras Lanuf has become the Stalingrad of the Libyan rebels, the point of farthest advance where they made a lot of sacrifices to hold on, and they have been defeated, and they are now essentially being routed. They're being driven back along the highway into the Muslim Brotherhood stronghold of eastern Libya. So it's a Stalingrad. That's extremely interesting. That's from Corriere della Sera, which is pro U.S. organ. Even on CNN, Ben Wiedemann says basically that the rebels are a rabble in arms. They have no training. They have no discipline. They do what they want. Right? There's no orders given. They decide when they want to leave, what they want to do. It looks like these gangs are doomed. Also, the city of Zawiya retaken by Gaddafi, and that's really the view coming from General Clapper, the U.S. intelligence czar, who told the Senate committee yesterday that the rebels are incapable of defeating Gaddafi, and therefore Gaddafi is likely to prevail. Remember that Secretary Gates of the Pentagon, a Brzezinski man, has said we don't want to have a land army in Asia, Africa, or the Middle East, and he's also said, don't kid yourself, a no-fly zone starts with a bombing campaign of several days to a week to blow up essentially all the airfields, fighter planes, radar, missiles, and so forth. Gaddafi has got mobile missiles that you're not going to get, so there would be some surprises, and he may have some anti-ship missiles that you don't want to find out about. So it's obvious that there is significant institutional resistance inside the U.S. government against the lunatic idea of a new Bay of Pigs, because that's what it is, a new Bay of Pigs from the U.S. point of view. The second phase of the Bay of Pigs that you never saw, because Kennedy said no. If they can prevail on weakling Obama to go along with this, and it may not happen, but it may, given Obama's inherent treachery, we would have a situation where we would finally see what would have happened if the CIA had gotten their wish in the Bay of Pigs and we had a full bombing campaign against Cuba with a U.S. military invasion. What that might have led to World War III there. And it won't be good this time either. The hypocrisy of these people is obvious, right? The Israelis were bombing Gaza and so forth for several months, killing, 1,500 to 2,000 Palestinians. Not a chirp. Nobody cared. But now the European colonialists have gotten themselves together. Hillary Clinton is going to attend a mixer. She's going to have a getting-to-know-you party with these Muslim Brotherhood characters from eastern Libya, right? Most of them on the British payroll, I'm sure, for quite a while. The really incendiary stuff has come from the Suez Coalition. Remember the neo-colonialists, neo-imperialists, Guy Mollet of France and Sir Anthony Eden of Britain, who went bonkers when President Nasser of Egypt seized the Suez Canal to use it for the national development of Egypt, and they tried to reassert their colonial control, and it didn't work, among other things, because the U.S. wouldn't go along. Maybe we have some hope this time around. Sarkozy is increasingly unstable, increasingly in the mode of Guy Mollet. We're told that the French Foreign Minister Juppé was not informed in advance that Sarkozy was going to recognize this gaggle of fanatics, gangsters, and jailbirds that calls itself the National Transition Council there in eastern Libya, that Juppé, the foreign minister of France, the head of the Quai d'Orsay, was in a meeting with Westerwelle, the German foreign minister, when he gets a phone call saying, hey, Juppé, guess what? Sarko just recognized the rebels. Nobody in the world has followed the French. Now, why did Sarkozy go out on such a limb? I think he's personally unstable now. I think he's going off the deep end. He's facing a re-election campaign. It may not go well for him. And above all, this pseudo-philosopher, this philodoxer, Bernard-Henri Lévy, BHL, apparently he got himself into Libya. He got himself into cahoots with these characters in eastern Libya, and he prevailed on Sarkozy. He influenced President Sarkozy to make this idiotic call, and this was then backed up by threats from Sarkozy that, if necessary, France alone would begin airstrikes into Libya. Now, he went way out on a limb. Today there's been a European Union heads of state, heads of government meeting, which has in effect repudiated Sarkozy. So the aggressive fervor in Europe is not what they wanted. Back in a minute.